Assalamu alaikum. Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Respected chairperson, invited guests, members of the Jamaat. As you know that because of time constraint, I have been given less time to actually speak on this topic. I'll try and summarize what I had prepared originally. Now, the topic I have is Khilafat, a mean to change fear into peace. There are two types of fear. One is innate, that is, you are born with, and the other is a result of diverse external forces. Of the external forces, the fear of terrorism is imminent these days. And then the fear for those who leave their country and move on to seek better lives in another country, the fear of bringing up their children in a new environment is a great fear that we all go through. Human nature is such that when overwhelmed with fear, it can deteriorate the morale, destabilize the social fabric of the society, instill hatred, and create isolation, resulting in a life that can become torn apart and miserable with no peace in sight. However, if there is the blessings of the Khilafat, then your fear can change into peace. Today, I shall briefly highlight important aspects in regard to this topic. The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, said that prophethood shall remain among you as long as God shall will. God will bring about its end and follow it with Khilafat on the precepts of prophethood for as long as God shall will, and then bring about its end. First, the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, told about his own prophethood. Then he foretold about coming times. Righteous Khilafat, known as Khilafat-e-Rashida of four Khulafa, was established. May Allah be pleased with them. A tyrannical monarchy will then follow and will remain as long as God shall will, and then come to an end. There will follow thereafter monarchical despotism to last as long as God shall will, and come to an end upon his decree. There will then emerge Khilafat on the precept of prophethood. Certainly, the death of a prophet is a time of extreme fear and anxiety, but the righteous servants of the Almighty do not lose hope, as their every despair is converted to optimism, and that their every fear is to turn into peace. When people are left leaderless, without direction, then certainly such a situation will eventually lead to chaos. Allah promises to exchange their fear with security and peace. They are reminded of the promise of God preserved in the Holy Quran. Allah the Exalted has made a conditional promise to believers. I quote, Allah has promised to those among you who believe and do good deeds that he will surely make them successes in the earth, as he made successes from among those who were before them, and that he will surely establish for them their religion which he has chosen for them, and that he will surely give them in exchange security and peace after their fear. They will worship me, and they will not associate anything with me. Then whoso is ungrateful after that, they will be the rebellious. Unquote. The words whoso is ungrateful, that after that will be the rebellious, signify that Khilafat is a great divine blessing. Without it, there can be no solidarity, cohesion, and unity among Muslims, and therefore they can make no real progress without it. If Muslims do not show proper appreciation of Khilafat by giving unstinted support and obedience to their Khalifa, they will forfeit this great divine boon, and in addition will draw this displeasure of God upon themselves. During different periods of Islamic history, many rulers called themselves Khalifa, yet the large majority of Muslims only consider the four Khulafa who followed the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, as the rightly guided Khulafa. That is, theirs was an era of guidance when the prevailing system was run in line with the model of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and in accordance with the teachings of the Quran. Later, circumstances changed, and the aforementioned prophecy of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, was fulfilled word for word. Indeed, as it was fulfilled in its former part, it was also to fulfill in its latter part. Seeing the decline of Muslims, God's mercy was stirred. God sent the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, with a Sharia to last till the end of time. We, Ahmadis, firmly believe that God's mercy was stirred to fulfill the promise he had made to the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. And through the agency of the promised Messiah, on whom be peace, Khilafat on the precepts of prophethood was once again established on earth, and we are among those mentioned in verse 4, chapter 64, I quote, "And he will raise him amongst others of them who have not yet joined them. He is the mighty, the wise." The reference in the above verse is a well-known saying of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, regarding the second advent of himself in the person of the promised Messiah, on whom be peace, in the latter days. We accepted the person about whom the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, said that he would bring faith back from the plight, and we were enabled to give greetings to the Messiah, whom the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, sent greetings. We also had the grace to take bayat of the Khulafa of the promised Messiah, on whom be peace. Establishing the faith was not limited to promised Messiah, on whom be peace, lifetime, or to a few decades after him, because after making his prophecy, the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, said no more, which signified that this Khilafat was to remain in all its glory till the judgment day. Today, Allah's practical testimony confirms the incontestable reality that after the promised Messiah, on whom be peace, the institution of Khilafat was certainly divinely established and receives Allah's help and support. Our work in the world to translate the Holy Quran into major languages, preach Islam to all mankind, bring hundreds and thousands of people under the banner of true Islam, and for millions to unite as one body in complete submission after taking the bayat and be prepared to sacrifice everything. Could all this have been possible through human effort alone? It is thus the duty of each person who takes bayat to always stay firm on it and adhere to Khilafat, which operates in the ways of the promised Messiah, on whom be peace, and also spread oneness of God in the world. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad alayhi salatu salam of Qadian enlightened the world with Islam's true and original teachings. I hereby present a few extracts from his writings, which illuminates Islam's pure and entirely peaceful teachings. The promised Messiah alayhi salatu salam has said, I quote, "There are only two complete parts of faith. One is to love God, and the other is to love mankind to such a degree that you consider the suffering and the trials and tribulations of others as your own, that you pray for them." At another place he said, "The most difficult and intricate aspect of faith relates to fulfilling the rights of mankind, because this is a constant challenge, and at all times a person faces this trial. I say truly that do not consider anyone your personal enemy, and remove entirely that habit of bearing grudges or hatred against others." He further said, "I never like it when people try to limit their sympathy and love to their own people. I admonish you again and again to never ever limit the scope of your compassion." Thus, these are just a few examples from the writings of the founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, in which he has urged his followers to spread love and compassion to all parts of the world. These are the true teachings of Islam, and with the grace of Allah, it is with these peaceful and compassionate teachings that Ahmadiyya Muslim community has flourished and spread to all parts of the world. And to count the number of countries today, there are 209 countries where Ahmadiyya has spread. We spread the message of love, affection, and unity. We have been taught to reply to abusive and hateful language with prayers. And in response to the persecution and grief we face, we give only love, peace, and comfort to the world. This is our teaching and this is our faith. Today, the institution of Khilafat, that is the institution of a spiritual succession that leads the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, is keeping these true teachings of Islam alive. The Khalifa of the Ahmadiyya community can never depart from Islam's core teachings of fulfilling the rights owed to God and mankind. Today, Tabligh is taking place under the auspices of Khilafat-e-Ahmadiyya, while the name of Islam is being brought into disrepute by some around the world. It is Jamaat Ahmadiyya connected to Khilafat, which is presenting the true picture of Islam, and thus God is corroborating the truth of Khilafat-e-Ahmadiyya. By opening the hearts of pious-natured people to the truth of promised Messiah, al-Islam, God not only corroborates the truth of Jamaat Ahmadiyya, but also the truth of Khilafat Ahmadiyya. Huzur-e-Anwar has repeatedly emphasized that religious scholars should educate their newcomers and youngsters about true connection with Khilafat. Office bearers are urged to do so, and they are responsible to take this task aboard. People should develop in righteousness and in connecting to Khilafat. Huzur-e-Anwar reiterated the sentiment of Hazrat Masih Maud, may Allah be pleased with him, that adequate emphasis is not given to Khilafat Ahmadiyya. He further goes on to say that you should continue to get the message of Khilafat across to every member of the Jamaat. Even those who are not learned, try and convey the message to them until such time even the most illiterate people can understand what true Khilafat is all about. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, spent his entire life spreading peace in the world. That was his noble mission. Certainly, there will come a day when the people of the world will realize and understand that he did not bring any teachings of extremism. They will realize that all he brought was a message of peace, love, and kindness. Furthermore, if the followers of this noble messenger also respond to cruelties and injustices in the same loving manner, then no doubt those who raise objections against Islam's magnificent teachings will one day become convinced of its truth and beauty. I quote, this is a quote from the annual convention held in Germany in 2016, and Huzur-e-Anwar has said, in complete contrast to the extremists, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community is an entirely peaceful religious community that seeks to spread tolerance, reconciliation, and freedom of belief throughout the world. However, do not think that we have adopted a new interpretation of Islam or have modified its teachings in any way. Huzur-e-Anwar said that our sect is the standard bearer of peace, reconciliation, and harmony, which is why our motto is love for all, hatred for none. The results of Huzur-e-Anwar explained that the difference by making it very clear that we Ahmadi Muslim believe that in this era, the concept of violent jihad and by the sword is completely wrong and is to be rejected, while some other Muslim scholars promote or even practice it. Their beliefs have led to many extremist and terrorist organizations emerging amongst the Muslims in various parts of the world. The results of their atrocities is in front of our eyes for the world to see and ponder what can be done collectively to combat the so-called maniacs who have radicalized their own children and youth into taking up arms and killing innocent people. While the extremists teach their children to take up arms, on the contrary, Ahmadiyya Muslim community under the divine leadership of our Khalifa teaches our people to save humanity, be peace-loving, show respect, show tolerance, and save humanity in the name of Allah. Therefore, love for all, hatred for none resonates with the philosophies and teachings of the Ahmadiyya community and inspires all the followers to be divinely guided by the Khalifa. One of the greatest blessings for us is the prayers of the Khalifa. The Khalifa's prayers are rewarded most by Allah. Hazrat Khalifatul Masih II, may Allah be pleased with him, said, I quote, "When Allah raises someone to the status of Khilafat, He also blesses his prayers with assured acceptance. In fact, the supplications of the Khalifa are more powerful than the prayers of any other individual." Closing quote. Masna Khilafat. In his Friday sermon of 23rd December 2016, just a few days back, Huzur Anwar reminded that opposition and persecution of the Ahmadiyya community is not a new thing. Troublemakers gather and attribute diverse unsubstantiated accusations to the Ahmadiyya community to incite opposition and to ignite fires of hatred. Troublemaking clergy are deceiving in the name of faith. Some leaders have also joined them. They spread non-existing rumors that have nothing to do with reality. Their lies, ridicule, and mockery strengthen the faith of a true Ahmadi Muslim. Huzur Anwar explained that while most Ahmadis are bearing atrocities with courage, some naively propose that as tyranny and injustice have reached their pinnacle, aggression should be responded with aggression. This idea may be infusing internally or externally to mislead Ahmadis. He said that this is a view of ignorance. Such members have forgotten our fundamental teachings and principles. The promised Messiah ﷺ taught us to bear tyranny and persecution with patience. The progress and victory destined for the promised Messiah ﷺ is to be attained by tending to righteousness, love, affection, and prayers. The promised Messiah ﷺ warned his followers that his way was not easy and trouble-free. Members will face the loss of emotions, wealth, and life. They will have to persevere and be patient and respond in kind. The promised Messiah ﷺ advised compassion and goodwill for all. We should firmly establish ourselves on Islamic teachings and righteousness. I would like to conclude with this reference to Huzur Anwar's address on the subject of peace delivered at Jalsa Salana, Germany in 2014. I quote, "I'm sure that Islam's true teachings will have become evident to you from what I have said today, and you will have come to understand the true nature of the Khilafat leading the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. I'm sure you will have come to realize that there is no need to fear this Khilafat, and so I would also request you to inform others about its true nature within your own circles. This Khilafat is always at the forefront of condemning and speaking out against every form of cruelty and injustice that takes place in this world. May Allah guide us all to be the true followers of the teachings of the Holy Prophet, may peace be upon him, and the promised Messiah al-Islam, and Khilafat-e-Waqt. Amen.